Hi everyone, welcome to this reading. So I have my crystal ball out and we'll be scrying through this message. And if you're interested, scry with me, leave what you see in the comments. So I'll put this in front of the camera just a little bit. Yes, it is a bottle of vinegar. We're in the kitchen dining room again. I just needed a change of scenery, you know what I'm saying? Like my office area is dark and drab the way I usually like it, but I just needed a little change of scenery. And it's been like getting really cold and I don't want to be in there with the heater kicking on and stuff. It's kind of loud. So yeah, well, we're gonna get into this. I have 4 cards out. I needed to pull 4 cards for myself because all morning I've been hearing, "You're a wizard, Harry, you're a wizard, Harry." And I just needed to understand what the hell's coming through. And so yeah, this is an interesting reading. You know how like you'll scroll on YouTube and you'll see people that will be like, a message from your future self? Yeah, this is one of those. This is one of those. So I've never gotten one of those before, but this is kind of interesting. So we're just going to get right into it. The first 2 cards that are coming out are these 2 cards. And I'm almost seeing this as ourself, especially our sort of psychic ability, our intuitive ability, an intuitive, magical, mystical sort of side of ourselves, whether you're male or female, that has evolved, right? And I'm seeing it in the amalgamation of all colors being combined in perfect unity, which is what creates white light. And here, what we're seeing is I'm almost seeing this figure being represented here. And I'm seeing this as the collective that I'm reading for. And so what it's looking like to me is that this is ourself sometime in the future trying to relay a message. And so that's why I got that. This message seems to be about this. Whoever I'm reading for, there was a great deal of time within our lives where we had to fight for everything. Maybe fight for our finances, fight in love, fight in, you know, our relationships, fight in our friendships, fight our health, whatever it is. It just feels like being surrounded by the war energy constantly. And at some point, whoever this message is for, you've shifted that fight into a singular focus. For some of you, this is going to be the singular focus of healing. Some of you, it's going to be the singular focus of finding out who you really are, finding your path, all those things, right? And they can all be wrapped up together. But it feels like we've made that a singular focus, and this has allowed us to turn that warring energy someplace conducive, right? So cutting out things that aren't good for us, leaving behind situations that no longer serve us. This is what this sword is feeling like right now. It's a sword of clarity and a sword of truth that has been forged from the swords of war. So the hardships inside of whoever I'm reading for your life, it feels like those hardships have made you wise, and those hardships have brought you to a place where you understand that this is the goal, not all the noise and all the chatter on the sides, this. And at times this seems like this can make you seem sharp, or it can make you seem a little heartless. In reality, it's having responsibility for yourself, right? Having true responsibility for yourself. So it's becoming the wise sword master, right? Now, swords are also telepathic. So whoever this message is for, there's definitely some telepathic ability that you have become aware of. And I'm seeing this light as this card. The message is coming through from this future version of ourselves is that it begins now. So you may have been aware that you have psychic ability. You may have been aware that you have magical ability. But we've reached with this singular focus, this sort of portal or this sort of gateway into a next phase of the journey. And these psychic and magical abilities are coming with us. They're going to be a huge part of this next phase. It's almost as though some of you are going to be using this skill of yours for others, or using it in a real life practical way. For some of you, that means using those abilities and grounding them down into earth, so that you are now not just the magician of like astral spaces or magical spaces, but that you're completely changing your life with them. For others of you, this is where that ability just suddenly grows and unfolds for you. So some of you, because of this sort of starry, spacey sort of sky, I do think think that some of you who have been interested in lucid dreaming and interested in astral projection, that this is going to pick up for you now. If you look, there's other gateways off in the distance. And so there's going to be different phases where it's like the shell or I'm almost feeling it like a cage around these abilities falls off. Now, the witch wound keeps coming up. It keeps coming up this spring for people. And so I do think that for some of you, part of that cage energy is that this is something that we've placed around this ability because of some sort of persecution in the past or in the distant past, in distant history even. So this is where we're starting to navigate those spaces, and that solar plexus energy here that we're finding with that gateway is starting to open up, and this is allowing you to step through, right? Because we even see that here. It's allowing you to step through into this version of yourself. So let's see. I have learned to fly. That is one of the things that this card is saying to me as this future self, right? So again, astral projection might be very important for somebody, but more than that, this feels like liberation from things that have held us down, right? All the karmic weight that we've held inside through processes of self-love, through processes of self-healing. There seems to be an immense amount of peace that we begin to carry with us. Some of you, again, you might have already stepped into that space, but there is definitely something changing here. Now, I've spoken before about how this card, it represents the goddess Hathor, and channel members, you have a whole video on it. So I advise you to watch that if you're unaware of how this card relates back to her. And so what this is really representing is that everything happens in its divine time in just the right way. Everything is kind of moving along its progression towards a particular end goal, and that's what we see over here, right? Someone here is about to align to the place that their soul has been trying to get for many lifetimes. It's this beautiful unfolding of this like godlike power, which is something available to all of us. It's inside of all of us. It takes many lifetimes to work on and to cultivate and to unfold for ourselves. And with this energy, what it's saying is that something is now shifting and opening up in that way. This can represent the outer ring, can represent the astrology, right? The internal ring can represent the elemental forces, and especially the 3 primes, and then the process of dissolution happening that purifies the 3 primes. And then there's also the center circle, which represents us, that something inside of us is the wheel by which everything turns. And that wheel is turning. So there's something here that is being refined. There's something within the masculine, feminine, and higher self that is being refined right now. The gateway and the sword are really standing out to me. So for some of you, the reason why this refinement is currently taking place is because you may have had to consciously pass from one phase of life or one surrounding or one environment into another. That's just for some of you. Okay. Yeah. Again, having to pass into one environment into another. The 4 of Wands is where we set up shop, right? It's where the 3 of Wands goes off to explore and becomes the 4 of Wands. So he's crossed the ocean, he's gone on his adventure, and he's set up camp. So this is about our emotional or psychic camp, right? So the climate of our emotional environment, right? Who do we surround ourselves with? What do we allow into our life? How are we allowing others to make us feel, right? Taking a lot of personal responsibility over our own feelings and what we're allowing, as well as what we're generating, the feelings that we're generating. Someone here, you may resonate with being a psychic empath. For these 2 to come out for me together, you may resonate as being a psychic empath, and you're learning to get some control over that by displaying better boundaries in your emotional life. For others of you, you may be learning some tips and tricks that are helping you with, basically sponging and getting other people's energy. Now, there is something here. Some of you are really confronting an aspect of the shadow at this time. The reason why I'm saying that is because this is the page. The pages represent, for me, different aspects of the inner child. We have the cup that has something fishy in it, right? And so there's something kind of trickstery that's taking place here. Some of you are realizing how our personal shadow and our subconscious, our pre-programmed beliefs, all of it, they can really project certain ideas onto the world, and for all intents and purposes, it looks 100% true. But by making a small shift within our feeling state inside of our mind, it all changes. Someone here is starting to understand how the internal them relates to the external them. And this is part of the process of having this singular focus to shift the energy, right? Okay. There is a message that's coming through very clearly for me right now, in this aspect of this sort of higher self, right? Or not higher self, but like future self. It's kind of this message that if you knew how far you would get, you wouldn't worry about how slow it's taking. For someone out there, there's a lot of frustration and a lot of pushing against the natural speed of things. That can't happen. It can't happen because we are subject to this, right? There's a process to everything, and that process takes time. The process of refinement takes time, whether it's in the 3D, you know, with metals, or it's the refinement of ourself. The process of refinement will always take time, and it is a process. So this message from this future self seems to be saying, you know, don't worry so much about how long it's taking, because you will get far. This process will carry you far. Just remember that sometimes when we struggle against that process, we actually hinder it even more, and it takes longer. For some of you, there is this feeling in that I'm gonna do this at all costs. I'm gonna like bulldoze through, right? That's kind of this energy. I'm going to bulldoze through, and he doesn't even realize that he's hurting the people that he's trying to that wanted to help him get better, right? I always see this as the Five of Wands graduated to the Five of Swords, where in the Five of Wands you see boys playing and they're helping each other get better, and then they grow up a little bit and they're using swords, and then one guy, he thinks he's going to just win the game, and so what he winds up doing is he winds up injuring his friends. And at first he thinks he's the winner, and then he realizes what he's done. So if you are forcing something, if you are like really struggling with having patience, that's something to cultivate, because you know that sort of magical energy requires a great deal of patience, and you know, it requires that calm high priestess sort of energy, right? It requires somebody who is composed. And if you are always trying to force things to happen in your time rather than divine time, what winds up happening is you create energy blocks for yourself. You can't attract what you're chasing, right? As I say that, the Two of Cups. For me, this is the merging. This is the merging of the masculine and the feminine energies, and I like to think of that lion as an aspect of our solar plexus. This is orange, so it's really speaking to me of an aspect of our solar plexus that works in tandem with the sacral chakra. So what I'm seeing here is I'm seeing that need to make things rush, right? And then that ability to just sit in that calm quiet being reflected in this card. Being able to use them in appropriate times, understanding when it's taking time because it is part of the natural order and the natural process, and then understanding when it's taking time and we need to take action. This is all part of strengthening that solar plexus in the way that we show up in the world, so that we're not operating out of a place of lack when it's not the appropriate time, right? Because that's what lack is. It's when we're trying to force things, or we're trying to chase things, or we need things, and it's going against the appropriate time. And understanding that sometimes when we sit back in that receptive quality, what we're doing is we're actually filling ourselves, and so we're allowing that lack to be filled. So someone here, this is all about balance, right? This is a message from the future self, that balance that you're seeking, that peace that you're seeking, that ability to create the life that you want in a practical way as well as in a magical way. Those things are going to supersede your best expectations, but it will take time. And to have patience with the self and make sure that your foundations, right, your groundwork, to make sure that those are extremely solid. There's a lot of, I just got hit with a lot of energy of almost like this manifestation. Again, we have that card of lack showing up. And it's having a little, making sure that having a little doesn't throw us into lack, right? Having a little means we have a little. It's the difference between seeing that the glass is half full or the glass is half empty. So I'm going to share a little story, right? When I was really dealing with my healing journey, this was probably about 10 years ago now. I was sitting with a friend of mine, and we were partaking in some plant medicine, and that was when that was a really big part of my healing journey. And we both had glasses of water, and I looked at mine, and mine was half empty, and then I looked at hers, and hers was half full. And I asked myself, why did I see that differently? Why am I seeing hers and everything, you know, what belongs to her is more positive and what belongs to me is more negative? And I realized that I viewed myself and my life as half empty because there was an aspect of me from a witch wound that was waiting to die, that was always waiting to die, right? And in that way, I had always sabotaged myself from truly living. For somebody, that's a small message. There is this ability to see what it is that we actually have rather than sitting in this energy, right? And I'm saying that as somebody who has been homeless. I'm saying that as somebody who has actually had, you know, nothing in the bank account, absolutely nothing. And it was gone a very long time without eating many times. You know, there's always something that we have that we can actually be thankful for, even when we lose everything. If you cultivate the ability to find those things, and that's not mitigating or like trying to deny the actual events that are taking place, right? Again, it's not being delusional, but it is about being thankful. When we cultivate that ability to be thankful for what it is that we actually still have, even if it's very little, there is this insane thing that winds up happening, right? We start to put more energy and more time and more effort inside of our foundations. We start to find that the universe starts to give us things, but it doesn't happen until we flip that switch, right? The universe is very weird about that energy of lack, right? That energy of lack will breed more lack. The energy of thankfulness will breed more things to be thankful for. There's this need to create a very solid foundation, again, for this passing through the gateways that is taking place inside of our life. So whether this is, you know, your abilities are about to expand and explode, so you have to make sure that you understand what it is that is yours, what it is that you have, and that you're a good steward of it. So for example, if you have a job that you hate, either finding a new job that you like or understanding that you have the ability to change your perception and show up to your job in a different way, right? Because whatever this is, you need that solid foundation here on earth in order to handle this sort of explosion of abilities, explosion of it feels like magic. It feels like magic that's surrounding somebody's life. This is also a force that we can channel if we're able to handle our perceptions into creating a more solid foundation for ourselves. So for some of you, that might be the route that you find that yourself going. You might step into this energy completely, creating your own, you know, stability out of it. So this does appear that there is going to be hard work in that regard, but it does look like it's going to be good work. It's going to be very emotionally fulfilling work, because at this point, you'll be operating as a person who is completely themselves, right? You don't have to hide that you're interested in this. You don't have to hide what you believe. You don't have to hide anything. And so whoever this message is for, this is beautiful. This is saying essentially that this higher self is saying that, you know, whatever stability you have craved, because you've learned to put down this sword and focus in the appropriate way, there's a stability that you're able to change your perception about, and you're able to create it for yourself. So it does seem to be through the process of channeling this sort of magical, very magical energy. And like I said, there's a heavy element of manifestation that's coming into this. So some of you may be getting into manifestation. There is also this sort of alchemization of different halves of ourselves coming together that's showing up inside of this reading. So I want to get one more card. I'm being told to read this card. So this card is called Enlightenment. And when I look at this, what I'm seeing is like this yellow dragon, right? It's this very beautiful, from the sun energy, this like powerful regenerative, if I can speak, regenerative force. I'm seeing it mix in with that blue. There's something here about, again, going back to that idea of the witch wound that keeps coming up. With the blue flame, a lot of people, you know, they resonate as blue flame, they resonate as having the witch wound. It's almost this healing regenerative energy going into that current, not just on an individual level, but on a collective level. As everyone steps into this energy for the collective who I'm reading for, as you're stepping into this highest version of yourself, which you meet in the future, slowly, this sort of collective trauma that humanity has experienced from history long persecution of magical people or even wrongly accused people. There's something inside this energy that begins to shift and change. And this is when this sort of magical collective can now evolve into something new, something other. And I don't know what that means, but it feels big. And it feels awesome, whatever this is. So I am being drawn to this, however, and this is taking place in that sacral chakra for me with that sort of muddy orange. We go back to yesterday's reading with this imagery of the dragon, so I'll link that at the end of this video. It's the feeling that there may still be something within that inner child that is keeping us from reaching quite the place that we need to, and that it's okay, right? It's okay. Again, everything is a process. But for those of you who feel like you're a little stuck and you don't know where to look, that might be a good place to look. Here what we see is, again, it's this energy, and notice all the circles coming through, right? It's this energy that everything is its process. It is something that takes time, right? I'm starting to get tongue-tied right now, so I'm going to start closing this out because I feel like I'm in way too deep of a trance to even be able to like English this message at this point. So whoever's message this is, if you are feeling stuck, just check that sacral space, you know, pay attention to the inner child, work with the inner child more, take her out for ice cream, take them out, you know, to go ride a bike or whatever it is that, you know, if you were to sit and say, what would really make me happy right now? What would I like to do that maybe I haven't done since I was really young, or that I wanted to do when I was young, but I never got to do? Ask yourself those things, or sit down with a journal and start writing, you know, get in touch with that inner child and ask it, what's going on here? What else do I need to examine? That really is the center that unleashes our power magically, because this is our primal center, and magic is a primal force. So this is a message from your future self that you have no idea what's even in store for you. Whatever it is, it's so much more beautiful than you can even possibly imagine. Just trust the process and allow yourself the space and the grace to have this experience. So whoever message this is, please like this video. If you liked it, feel free to leave me a comment, and until next time.